this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
If you only listen to one thing to make sense of the news this year, make it this. The final episode of this season of Next Question pulls together the most important conversations of the year. You'll hear David Graham on Project 2025, Liz Oyer on the plethora of presidential pardons, Tina Brown on the year's biggest scandals here at home and across the pond, plus much, much more. It's a crash course in the last 12 months, how we made it through the year, and a look at what might be coming in 2026. Listen to Next Question with me, Katie Couric, on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Kristin Davis, and I want to know, are you a Charlotte? Tell me what you were telling me before about how you have watched the show, or which parts.
So I used to watch like random episodes with my best friend in the 7th grade. Aww. I don't know if we had any business watching Sex and the City in the 7th grade, but we would do it. We would steal her mom's car, go to this place called Cafe Trang, get takeout Chinese food.
In Utah?
In Utah.
Oh my God.
In Salt Lake.
Wow.
Come back to her house and just like whatever was playing. I guess it would, you know, when they would do, I don't know what season.
This is probably when it was on E, right? Like was it, did it have the bad words and stuff taken out?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, we were in it.
Wow.
So recently, I want to say maybe like 5-6 months ago, I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start Sex and the City from start to finish. I am obsessed. When I was asked to do this podcast, I was so intimidated.
Oh, no.
I was like taking notes on the episode.
That's adorable. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. So when you, so have you seen the whole thing yet?
I have seen, so how many seasons were there?
There's 6 seasons.
Yes. Season 1 through 6.
Yeah.
I watched all of them.
Okay.
And then I had seen the movies.
Uh-huh.
So now what I've been told, because I was posting throughout as I was watching.
Got it.
Being like, I just started. This show is amazing. Everyone's like, this is crazy that you of all people have never seen.
That's true.
It
is
its
a little
entirety,
crazy, right? Yeah.
Because I'm all about sex and I'm all about it being in the city. And so now I'm going to go back and watch the movies, even though I've seen them.
Right.
And then we'll start.
And just like that.
Post exactly.
Cool,
and posting
cool.
How I feel.
I love it. So what? Well, I mean, I wish I had been following along as you were posting, but I have you in person, so I should just hear in person. So obviously, everyone tells me, and I'm rewatching it now for the first time, right? Like I saw each episode as we were going. And sometimes it would be rough. It wouldn't be finished. Like there would be music missing, or there would be a visual effects missing, or things like that, right?
Okay.
But we were always really anxious to see, you know, we would, at least I remember us being, and Sarah Jessica says she didn't watch all of it, but I feel like she did. I feel like we talked about it, but that was obviously a very long time ago. But we would run home. We would get VHS from HBO and before it aired, and go run home and watch it. Because we were so in it and of it, like everything was exciting, you know.
Of course.
Yeah. And then I didn't ever like to rewatch it when it was on E or on the different, you know, versions of what it was on, because it seemed like I would get stuck in the past. Like I didn't want to just sit and think about it. And I would just walk by and be like, oh, look at we look so young, you know, and just keep going. You know what I'm saying?
Do you feel like you were critical?
Well, I definitely am critical, but I'm probably more critical when I would first watch it.
Okay.
And that has gotten better with time, right? Because now it is almost 30 years later.
Wow.
Which is insane. There's nothing I can do now about my performance, right?
Nope.
It's off my shoulders. Like for instance, there is a scene in this episode. I have rewatched this episode twice now. Oh, I should tell everybody, we are rewatching Easy Come, Easy Go, which I have to say is one of the best
so good.
episodes. Oh my gosh,
good.
so much happens. It's season 3 and it's when I get engaged. So when Kyle recently came on and we discussed, so I had watched all kind of the highlights of the Trey relationship. Mm-hmm. But then I rewatched it this morning before I was going to see you, because it's just such a great episode and so much happens.
Yeah.
So much happens. But there was a scene in this episode, and I remember at the time also feeling like I didn't do it well. And then when I watched it for Kyle, I also thought I didn't do it well. And then this third time watching, I was like, no, it's fine.
I feel like I actually crushed it.
I don't know if I crushed it. I never think that way, right? But the scene when I go to tell Carrie about the engagement.
Yeah.
I don't love my performance then. And I have a very, very visceral memory of what it was like on the set that day, because everyone had, when I say everyone, I mean behind the camera, right?
Totally.
Like it was directed by Charles McDougall, so one of my favorite directors. And Charles is a great director because he doesn't really micromanage. But the way that our show was, our writers were very, very involved and they were always there. So Michael Patrick King wrote our episode and he's one of our executive producers. We love him very much. But also we had a bunch of women writers and they would all be there. Like if it was a big scene, everybody would be there.
Okay.
And everyone would basically tell you what they wanted you to do, especially back then. Like now I would be like, okay, guys, that's enough. Like, let me just do it, right?
Exactly.
But back then, this was really Charlotte's first like big storyline, you know? And like with a lot going on over many episodes. And in this beginning with Trey, we were really laying the groundwork of what was going to happen between me and him, right? So the whole idea that she's been wanting this proposal, and then she kind of blows it by basically proposing to herself. They wanted me to just be like, I don't think they wanted me to be tearful, but they just wanted me to be in shock. So I'm trying to play shock through an entire scene, which is very hard, like possibly impossible. You know what I'm saying?
It's really interesting to hear your perspective on that, because that's actually one of my favorite parts, where you're at the door and you walk in and you're just like in a fog and you can tell that. Here's what I love about the entire show. Is as I've gotten older, I see myself at the age of 35 in each of you. There was, for such a long time, it was like, which one are you?
Yes.
The wind blew the wrong way for Charlotte. And she doesn't do well with that.
No,
she has doesn't. How she wants something to go.
Yes.
And that's very much me. So when she wanted it so badly at that dinner, and then you're just at Carrie's door, I loved it.
You did? Okay.
I loved it.
Oh, good.
Because I felt like there was so much going on in your head that you were still trying to process. Like, I was obsessed.
Oh my God.
That's
I'm so
my
glad.
take on it.
That makes me so happy, because really you can never be objective about yourself, really.
No,
you know
you
what I'm
can't.
saying? You just know what you were trying to do and you know what everyone's telling you to do, and you see the work. Like I can see myself like trying to do what they were telling me to do rather than just kind of breathing and living. But she is just kind of processing, you're right, which is stuck in a way. I felt like what their direction was at the time was a little bit stuck. Like they can get an idea, writers especially can get an idea, but it's hard to act an idea. You have to really go with what's happening. You know what I mean?
Of course.
But Charlotte is very in her head, you know, like in general, right? She has, like you said, the kind of vision of what she wants, right? Or what she's expecting. And then life doesn't live up to it, which of course it wouldn't. How could it possibly? You know what I mean? No one can read your mind, right?
No,
which is like a big thing with Charlotte forever, really. You know,
yes.
Her vision versus reality.
Yeah. And that's what I loved about it. And I loved when you were at lunch meeting Trey's mom for the first time and you were clocking little things like how
I like that too. Yeah.
I just find Charlotte to be so sweet and interesting. And I relate to that as I get older and have more experiences with different types of men.
Yeah. Who did you used to relate to?
I used to feel like I was just a Samantha. Like, very much so.
Really?
Yes.
Even your young self.
Yes.
Wow.
The
I love
moment
that.
I mean, obviously when I first started watching at the age of 14, I didn't relate to any of you.
Right. You were like,
I just couldn't believe I was seeing boobs on
TV. Totally.
Freaking
and
awesome
hearing some crazy words and stuff. Totally.
Exactly.
And you're in Utah too. So it's even more like you're in a very kind of more conservative environment. Yeah.
I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah. It made you want to get out, I'm sure.
Right. The moment that I became sexually active, I was like, oh, I am Samantha as it gets.
Fantastic.
Like, let's be free.
That's
and
great.
Talk about it.
That's so great.
And then as you get older, I developed an appreciation for Miranda, where like I have to say by the time it was over, I was like, at this stage of my life, even though I can say like, I think most women have a piece of each of you.
Yeah. As
a whole, I think I'm mostly Miranda.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's super interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, let me say, I've never seen Vanderpump Rules. So I don't know. I don't have a lot of preconceived notions about you, right?
That's great.
Yes, it is. It's really nice. Though I have enough knowledge from your podcast, Untraditionally Lala, because you are creating your own life in the way that you want it. And I am of the same thinking. I came from South Carolina, which was very traditional, though my parents weren't really like super preppy or anything like that. But I was surrounded by, everyone talked about wanting to get married and wanting to get engaged and blah, blah, blah. Everybody was blonde. You know what I'm saying? The whole thing. And I was an actress from a young age, so I wanted to get out as soon as I could. I just wanted to go to New York, which I eventually did. It took a while. But I wanted to, have a different life, a more adventurous life, a different life. And I have absolutely had that. Yes. Which has been fun.
You've had a very fun life.
I have had a very fun and adventurous life, yes.
How old were you when you left? And
I went to college. My dad was a college professor. So I wanted to move directly to New York at 18. And he said no. And he was right because I was not yet sober. And had I moved directly to New York in the 80s, not sober, it would have gone really badly. So I'm so lucky that he said, no, you cannot do that, young lady. What on earth? He was like, you must go to college. So I went to Rutgers because they had a BFA acting program.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I could be close to the city and go in to see plays. And, I just wanted to be as close as I could to the Broadway of it all, and I was, which was great. It was perfect because I did need that time during that time is when I realized that I needed to get a hold of my abuse of alcohol. Predominantly alcohol. I mean, there were other things around me. I had no idea that
you were sober.
Yeah, I've been sober so long that I don't talk about it all the time. But yeah, thank God.
Good for you.
Yeah, thank you.
We have that in common.
Yeah, I know. I love that. And I don't know how I would have navigated. First of all, New York in the late 80s was just insanity. I mean, I remember I was kind of alone in being sober. I wasn't really in a program at that time. And I didn't know anyone who was sober, except I had a boyfriend who was sober.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so we could be together in it. But I remember just walking. I had to walk. I had a waitressing job, and I would walk home, and I would walk by the Limelight, like all the crazy clubs, and just be like, oh, thank God I'm not in there. I don't know what would happen to me.
So you never felt triggered once you moved out? You felt like you were strong in your sobriety when you moved and were in that environment?
I did feel triggered for sure, but I didn't ever fall. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think largely because of John, my boyfriend, who was super sweet. He was in some ways like the police. He'd been sober for a while, and he was very protective, and I think he knew the dangers more than I did in a way, of like he'd been out. He was 3 or 4 years older than me at the time. He'd already been out and lived a life in the city and knew how crazy it could be. So he was very protective, and that helped me get over the initial hump of like being out in the crazy world and trying to be sober. But it was lonely in the way of like my roommate was wild. You know what I'm saying? Like there were all these wild people around me, and I would just be like, no, I'm just going to stay home.
Right. Keep your blinders on. Yeah. You know where you have business being and where you do not.
100%.
As we head into 2026, it's safe to say that 2025 was a year like no other. So much news, so much disruption, and yes, so much division. That's why we're wrapping up this season of Next Question with a look back at everything that's happened. Things are coming at us with such a velocity. We thought it was important to take a moment, connect the dots, and explore what it all means. We're summing up the first year of Trump's second term with David Graham on Project 2025 and how many of the goals have been implemented, Richard Haas on foreign policy and the changing world order, Jessica Valenti on reproductive rights and the terrifying consequences of abortion bans, Tina Brown on the year's scandals here and across the pond. The president has upended everything, from pardons to the press, so we're covering it all. Listen to Next Question with me, Katie Couric, on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And then I moved here in the 90s, also insane.
Oh,
cocaine.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, everywhere. Cocaine everywhere.
Oh, no.
Everywhere.
Pardon my language. I don't with that.
Right? No, it's serious.
It is serious.
It's really not good. So I remember being at parties and seeing like dinner plates with a mountain. I would just be like,
lovely.
Excuse me.
Lovely.
I know the 90s here was, woo. It was a lot. It was a lot. And I do remember there were people in my life who, not my, like I have a publicist I've had for over 30 years. I have a manager I've had for 30 years. I mean, I've had like a really great team. But there were other people that I'd meet along the way and they'd be like, you've got to go out to parties. And I was like, whoever got a job from going to parties? That's crazy.
No one gets a job. And when you're sober, you realize you're all in one big room talking about bullshit.
Totally.
It's actually quite insane.
Exactly.
Like there have been moments in my 7 years and some change where I've gone out to nightclubs and I'm watching people and I'm like, do we all realize that we're in like a concrete room just with music that's way too loud?
Horrible. I know. Horrible.
No one realizes that.
No, I know. Well, because I think you just think that you have to do it, or you think you're supposed to do it, or you think that that's how something meaningful is going to happen in your life. I don't know why.
Nothing ever good comes of any of that.
No, I agree totally. I agree. I worry for the young women who do that or feel like they need to do that, I guess I should say.
Well, I think it's our job. You know, we're in different lines of work. And, you know, when I first came out here, I wanted to be an actress. And if you signed up to do reality TV, it was like a death wish for your career.
No.
And now it has changed.
Right.
So we're both in entertainment, but I feel like it's our job to take these platforms and spread the word on how to go about this. What are the red flags?
I agree.
Let's not try to paint them green because we love to do that, especially at a young age.
Right.
And I feel like finally getting older is like an empowering thing.
Absolutely.
It's something that women are embracing.
Yeah.
It's like your superpower, right?
Definitely.
I don't feel like it was always looked at that way.
No, of course. I think it was experienced that way, but I don't think that we had a way to talk about it. I mean, I am newly older relatively. I mean, it's also relative. Like when we started the show, we were in our 30s, right? Which is so funny now because like that's very young. And obviously you look back at the show, we look like little children to me, right? But at the time, there was this whole freedom because as an actress, once you were in your mid 30s, you were kind of done. You were on your way out, right? So it was such an empowering thing to get these parts because first of all, you didn't have to lie about your age anymore. Because depending on whatever audition you went to, you had to lie and say you were that age, right?
Wow, that's crazy.
And I remember just going, oh, thank God, I never have to lie about my age again. Yay. Because so we were like these strong, powerful women in our 30s and we were supposed to be in our 30s. That was the point, right?
Don't you find it interesting though? Because as I go out and about and see people around my age, it's actually, we're still trying to figure it out in our 30s.
I know.
Whereas your guys' personal lives may have been all over the place, but like wonderful careers were happening on the show. You know, Carrie with her column, Miranda being this like incredible lawyer.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's as much that way anymore. And maybe it's just living in Los Angeles. But at that age, we're still really trying to figure out what we want to do and be and see.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is because the world has changed too.
Correct.
I think COVID really like, you know what I mean?
It threw everybody off.
Right? Like there was no, because when we were all in like college age, right? I went to college. I don't think Kim went to college. I don't think Sarah went to college. Cynthia went to college. And I think that you were kind of told that there was a track that you could be on, right? But we all wanted to be actors. So I went to acting school. Does acting school help you? No, not
but
in
your dad said
any
you had to
way.
go to school.
It's
Might
true.
as well
and I did. And I'm glad. It helped me develop as a human being, right?
The experience.
But it doesn't help you in your career at all. At all. I need to really reiterate that. I think it's great. Like if you love theater and you love acting and you want to enjoy yourself in college, also just get a BA and make sure you get a more well-rounded education, right? Okay. Which I didn't really care about. I didn't do that. I didn't care. And I'm not saying I regret it. I'm happy with my choice. But I just think that you in some young way, you believe that it's going to matter that you have this degree. Nobody cares if you have a degree.
Isn't that because so many people, so many of my friends, I always had this mindset. I remember my counselor calling me in and being like, we need you to take, what is it, an SAT?
Yes.
When are you going to be doing that?
Oh,
Where are you going
intense.
to school? And I was like, I'm moving to LA and I'm going to be famous. And they were like, a very small percentage of people
right, but you're
make
one of
that
them.
happen.
Yay, Lala.
Yeah, and I was like, well, it looks like I'll be part of it. And like, I never took it, but all of my friends went off and did college and most of them are in debt. They don't use their degree for anything.
Right.
So if there's one thing I knew what I wanted to do, and
that's great.
Nothing was going to stop that.
Amazing. Okay, let's talk about this episode. So this episode, in my mind, so my favorite season is season 3.
Okay.
The season that we're in.
Yeah.
And part of the reason I think that my favorite season is season 3 is when I watch these episodes, all the storylines are just great. And they're all intertwined in ways that are interesting and more in depth in a way than in the beginning. Like, I think it took us some time to find our legs in terms of like the writing and how to get everything in, but also everyone's storyline is great and different, right? And it took a lot of work on our writer's part to get to that. And also so much happens in such a short amount of time.
I know.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Every time I watch it, I'm like, wow, we were so good. I mean, I thought it was good at the time and I loved it, right? But like in retrospect, I'm much more able to see how hard the actual mechanics were.
Totally.
You know, and have full appreciation for it.
Yeah. I mean, the show stands the test of time, which is, I think, very hard to do.
100%, because there's so many shows out there, right? And you're basically competing with all of them over the test of time, right?
Yeah.
And it's the hugest compliment in the world that people still love it and still come up to me and still are discovering it, which is like, I mean, who would have ever thought? We never would have dreamt any of this.
That's got to feel really amazing.
It does. I mean, obviously there's so much luck that plays into it, but also there's so much hard work in terms of getting to the point and getting the job, but then also doing the job, because it was like my entire life.
Yes.
Like there's no, like once it really succeeds, which is third season is when we shockingly got nominated for an Emmy for the first time. And we never thought that would happen. And then once the award thing started, that was in our off season, right? So we'd go to work in February and then the Golden Globes would be in January. So it was just like year round. You know what I'm saying? Like you had little breaks, but not really. And then you were doing press to try to, you know, it was a lot. It was a lot.
It sounds like so much fun.
It was fun. It was work, but it was fun for sure. But also like there are things I think back in terms of my personal life and I'm like, oh my God, how did anyone put up with me? Like, I don't think I talked about anything else. Really? You
how
think
could
that
you
too?
when that's your life?
Right.
When that's your life, how do you, that's what you go and do when you meet people. You talk about what your world is like. And when that is your every single day and anyone you're communicating outside of that person are also a part of your business
That's
and show.
That's mostly who you're talking to.
Right.
Yeah.
The timing at that point in time was probably just off. You weren't, I don't know when you met your person or
I don't have a person.
But
adopted.
Oh, you adopted your babies?
Yes.
Oh, see, you did it the right way from the jump. You did it the right way from the jump.
That's so sweet. Thank you.
Damn,
Thank you.
I'm so jealous.
I'm sorry. I mean, look, it happens the way it happens, right? It happens the way it happens.
As we head into 2026, it's safe to say that 2025 was a year like no other. So much news, so much disruption, and yes, so much division. That's why we're wrapping up this season of Next Question with a look back at everything that's happened. Things are coming at us with such a velocity. We thought it was important to take a moment, connect the dots, and explore what it all means. We're summing up the first year of Trump's second term with David Graham on Project 2025 and how many of the goals have been implemented. Richard Haas on foreign policy and the changing world order. Jessica Valenti on reproductive rights and the terrifying consequences of abortion bans. Tina Brown on the year's scandals here and across the pond. The president has upended everything, from pardons to the press, so we're covering it all. Listen to Next Question with me, Katie Couric, on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, so the whole theme of this episode is exactly kind of what you're talking about, which is about following your heart or your mind, which is such a huge question. Every day, forever, I think. You know what I mean?
Yes. And oh my gosh, when Carrie ends up in bed with Big.
Yeah.
And you have like the perfect guy right in front of you, but the heart just wants what it wants.
I know.
And
Damn
at
it.
some point you always give in, and it's like the forbidden fruit. I have been in relationships where I'm like, if I'm so happy with this person, but if you were to drop this specific person in front of me, I would forget all about this, even though this is so right for me. Because my heart just knows, and my vagina knows what it wants.
I mean, it's an interesting thing. Like I don't know, because I have never been married, right? I've been really committed to people. But if I'm really in love, you could drop anybody in front of me. It doesn't matter. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so my question when I watch this, and again, you see it at different times and think about it you think different things when you're rewatching it, right? Like the first time I rewatched this episode, I thought, oh my God, she's so stupid. Carrie's so stupid, right? But then this time I watched it and I was like, you can tell that the Aiden relationship is not right for her.
No, it's certainly not right for her.
So that, to me, that's a symptom of that then Big is unfinished, right? Like we all know what that's like. Now, I'm not saying it's right. And I don't think it's right or good for her, but I understand why she does it because it's undone. It's not complete.
Right. And we all know obviously what happens. Right. But at this point in time, what I am thinking is we can say it doesn't feel complete. And I think there's a very small % chance that you end up like being with the person who's so toxic.
No, of course. Right.
But it's like you become addicted to the super high highs and then the super low lows.
Right. When that's horrible for you.
It's so
for everyone. Awful.
I like to think about it as hitting a vape.
It is. It's full addiction. No, you're right. That's a good way to put it. And I think this time when I rewatched it, number one, I'm looking at Aiden and I'm like, why doesn't he understand that she, like, this is, like it's nice what he wants to do, but also he's kind of oblivious to her, right? Like he says, I want to redo your floors. You're not going to know I'm here. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, he's sanding your floors. He's got plastic up.
And I work from home.
Exactly. So like he's somewhat not connected to her. You know what I'm saying? He's not really getting her in a way, right? Which is, I think, true the whole time, that he doesn't really get her. And that's what's interesting about him is he's different. And different than Big, obviously, but also different than Carrie, right? And that's interesting. Yeah. But are they super connected or do they just have great chemistry? Like not that different from Big, right? Like I look at the chemistry factor.
I think Aiden came in at the right time.
Yes. And it's all timing.
I usually am like pro chick, but how could Aiden get to a place where he knows her when she does have such a wall up? She's not even acting like herself. She's a version of herself that I feel is almost like a shell of herself.
I agree. She's not giving her full self. You're so right. She's the Big in the relationship. She's the withholding in a way. Like she doesn't even tell him about Big. She was like, Big says like, she said he doesn't know about you and I don't want it to. And Big says, why? Which that's like sometimes Big frustrates me, obviously, but like sometimes I'm like, yeah, why, Carrie? Why wouldn't you tell this new relationship about your past relationship? It was pretty recent. So you're right. She's got a wall.
Because then you open up the whole can. And if she were to tell Aiden about Big, it would be a venting session and her being confused. And right then he would know that is not finished.
You're so right.
Very much.
You're so right.
Yeah.
That is so right. And on one hand, she's smart that she feels that and doesn't do it. But on the other hand, how could she actually expect it to work with Aiden if she's got the wall, right?
She seems to always want to be in some sort of relationship to distract her from Big.
Yeah, it's true.
And that part I do not relate to.
No.
Because anytime, and I haven't had a lot of moments where I'm like, I really, really like this person. I can think of maybe 2 in my life. Yeah. And one of them is not even the father of my child.
Wow.
Like at all.
Wow.
But I can think of two. And the moment that those don't work out, I cannot even bring myself to go out and meet someone else because I just want to be by myself and I want to retreat and focus on myself. And what is it? Why am I attracting this type of person?
Yes.
Who wants to like give you all of this love and be present. And then all of a sudden they're like gone off the face of the earth. You better be dead in a ditch because that's the only way I'm going to be cool with you disappearing.
Yikes. Disappearing is horrible. Shame on whoever you guys are. Bad.
Shame on them.
Bad.
Yes.
Disappearing is horrible.
It's the worst.
Horrible.
Like after a few text messages, disappear. But you can't go out with me, meet my friends, be intimate and sleep together and then everything be normal and then literally overnight go MIA. So with Carrie though, I find that
You mean she's like that? You're saying she's like that?
I find that when something goes south with someone, she's ready to go out. The easiest way to get over someone is to get under someone else.
Definitely. Which I think we actually have a whole episode about. But also, Carrie is interesting in that she's got her column where she's really thinking about, relationships and people in New York and what's going on, but she doesn't have a lot of personal introspection, right?
Right.
Her introspection is about like relationships in general. And what about this question? It's kind of intellectual rather than why am I doing this? Like when she's re-listening to that voicemail and Miranda's over there, that was so entertaining to me because it's like they're in high school.
It made me want a lot of licorice, by the way. I was like, that looks like where they're ripping
totally, right? It's it's a very high school moment, but I think it's also very like all relationships, I do think do that to you potentially, right? Like you're so suddenly in grade school or whatever.
No
you know
matter
what I mean?
who you are.
Yeah.
And you have to have a third party come in, which is what I love when Miranda's like, we could listen to this and we will never know what it means.
I know.
And
it's so
we have
true.
all been a Carrie in that moment and we've all been the Miranda in that moment.
It's true, but it's important to have that Miranda voice. I have the Miranda voice in my head, right? Who can be like, why are you even trying to analyze this? You will never know. You will never understand this younger man. They make no sense. You know what I'm saying?
No one makes any sense.
No one makes any sense.
Yeah.
No. But that's what I love about Carrie is that she is trying to figure everyone else out, but not always herself. But she also tries, but then like her feelings, I think, are too strong, which is kind of interesting because she also has, kind of the facade of like, I'm cool. You know what I mean? She has like but she's not.
She's got a lot of swag
she
puts on.
Yes.
I have this friend which you should, and I'm blanking on her I always say I have this friend. And then I'm like, what the hell is her last name?
You don't have to say her
with
name.
A B. But she thinks Carrie, I have this friend who is obsessed with Sex and the City. And she has always said that even before I watched that Carrie's a narcissist.
A lot of people say this, and we discuss this because Sarah Jessica does not like this. And we discuss this sometimes in life. And there was a time of COVID where this became a big thing on Instagram and TikTok and whatever. And there's some very funny videos about it, I have to say. But I personally do not think this is true for a couple of reasons. They say that she's a bad friend, and I don't find that to be true at all.
I don't find that to be true at all either.
No, but I also think that the way that the show is structured, and people don't necessarily realize this, and why should they, right? They're just watching the show and enjoying the show. But the way the show is structured, she's our entree into the world, right? She's our leading character. We're hearing her thoughts and her voice. Her voiceover, we're seeing her writing, right? So of course we're hearing her thoughts. If we were in your head hearing your thoughts, we would also think you're a narcissist.
Yeah.
If we were in Hannah's head hearing her thoughts, or Easton's head, because you're in your own head,
right?
Why would your thoughts not be about you and the people around you? It's just the basic conceit of the show, right? That we are in Carrie's head. That's my answer to it, because to me, she's a great friend. I mean, look, she's who's a perfect friend? Nobody, right? But like, she's there for these friends.
I don't think
forever.
You could categorize any of you as bad friends. That's the beauty of the show.
Right.
Is a group of women navigating their lives and always coming back
together.
To each other.
Yes.
And maybe I need to watch it again, but I do not think that Carrie is a narcissist.
No, me neither.
And I've dealt with many of those.
100%. I mean, mostly I've dealt with male narcissists, right? Which looks different, do you know what I'm saying, than female narcissists. But also I have known female narcissists, and Carrie is not one at all. I mean, I think like there's a time early on, I can't remember, I think it's first season, where she stands Miranda up for Big. That's not good, obviously, but Miranda gets really mad and they like have a fight. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think Miranda would have been as mad if Big wasn't a piece of shit.
Well, of course.
That's why she was mad.
No, of course, but also if you're sitting somewhere,
yes,
you know, if you're, and this is before everyone had the cell phones, like Carrie's still running to the phone booth.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean, right?
That's
right. So you're sitting somewhere by yourself, of course, and Miranda's mad. I totally get it, and Big's a jerk. I totally get both sides, right? But who hasn't fucked up? Everybody fucks up.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And also, I mean, you know, I was going to say they're kind of young at the time, but whatever. You know, like when you watch the beginning of the show, we do seem really young, but I also think some of that is the world. Like, you know, we didn't have dating apps. We didn't have, you know, cell phones and texting everybody all the time.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? It was like a different world, right?
Would have been a different game saying I'm going with Big to get his Big.
Right.
You know, and she's like, all right, at least I know I can call another friend.
Exactly. Or I can go home or
I can
whatever.
Go home.
Not
I can have a
here
drink by myself and maybe find me a cute Big.
You guys, this is so much fun that we are going to have a part 2. So join us later in the week on Are You a Charlotte?
If you only listen to one thing to make sense of the news this year, make it this. The final episode of this season of Next Question pulls together the most important conversations of the year. You'll hear David Graham on Project 2025, Liz Oyer on the plethora of presidential pardons, Tina Brown on the year's biggest scandals here at home and across the pond, plus much, much more. It's a crash course in the last 12 months, how we made it through the year, and a look at what might be coming in 2026. Listen to Next Question with me, Katie Couric, on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.